part. I want to get it sold. I got to make money. You're getting the money back.
That's the tough one.
That's why I'm here.
Okay, I mean, because let me first introduce myself. I'm Stephen Biro. I'm the president of Unearthed Films. We've been in business about 10 years. We've released everything from the guinea pig movies, Lucifer Valentine's Vomit Gore trilogy, yay, Philosophy of a Knife, Rock and Rule, Frankenhooker, list goes on and on. We've moved into book publishing, released Hallucination, which is my novel, memoir, Ultimate Dead Baby Cookbook. It's been a rough week because this is coming out, Master Taboo Cannibalism is coming out in a couple of days. So I've been pretty busy. We just actually wrapped up a shoot on Jim Van Beber's Gator Green, which is a short to hopefully gain interest for full financing for the full film. Jim Van Beber made The Manson Family, Deadbeat at Dawn, and a bunch of other shorts. Did the Down documentary, and he's busy, but he hasn't made a movie in a while. And it's just like you were saying, you're wanting to get your money back. Once you finish your film, you're going to A, get it into a distributor's hands as fast as possible, or B, you're going to do the correct thing and do the film festival circuit. You're going to spend a lot more money. You're going to spend a lot.
That man's a puppy maker.
Yes. The film festival circuit, it's almost bullshit in a way, because you have to pay an entry fee for them to bother to look at your short, your movie, whatever you're doing. And there's a lot of them. And that's how they make their money, is showing it, getting your $45 entry fee. And it doesn't even promise you that you're going to be in. Sundance Film Festival had over 10,000 movies submitted to them. 10,000 times $45. That's a lot of money. They made a lot of money even before they opened the doors. So you got to hit the film festival circuit. You're going to show it. You're either going to get awards or you're not. It's either going to kick ass or it's going to break you. Because if you make a subpar movie, which, how do you say it? 6 times out of 10, maybe 7 times out of 10, you're going to make a flop. That's the bad thing. When you're trying to get distribution, you're going to be sending out packages like this. This is a gorgeous package for a film. I mean, they spent a lot of money. There's the film. I mean, it had a bunch of other notes and a bunch of other little booklets in here. They spent a lot of money on this packet to send out to all the distributors and film festivals and whatnot to gain interest so that they'll distribute it. The bad thing is, the movie sucks. It's the worst movie. I mean, I know the guy. He's usually here. I'm glad he's not. But I always pull this out to show people, look, this is the type of money you gotta spend to get, be like, ooh, these guys are professional. This might be a good movie. Movie sucks. They haven't been able to get distribution for about 4 or 5 years. They got one deal in the UK, so they released it in the UK. It gets 1 stars all across the board. They spent, from what I gather, the guy's producers chipped in over $150,000. The director himself, put a bunch of money into it, and so basically it was $250,000 that they lost.
Was it, it looks fine, sounds fine, it's just a poor story?
Bad story, bad acting, bad everything. I get movies submitted to me all the time, and it's the same thing. Bad acting, bad story, bad dialogue, effects. Now, I tell a lot of the, because I know a lot of people in the industry, and the ones that seem to make money, which are very far and few in between, are the independent guys that slap together a non-stop gore-tastic movie for about $2 or $3 grand. They're making money, okay? Not all of them, some of them put crap together and try to, and it's just horrible. It's, everybody wants to be Cecil B. DeMille. Everybody wants to be a filmmaker now for some odd reason. It could be because there's all the equipment now. You buy a Mac, you already have all the editing software, you have GarageBand on there. I mean, you can actually cut together a movie. Everybody is on YouTube, they're talking to the camera and putting it up there. And if you pay attention to a lot of the horror people, you'll notice that some of these people only have, like 50 views, 100 views or something, and there's others who, they have 20,000 views on their YouTube videos, and they automatically think that it'll turn into sales, fans, money. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's very rough out there right now. In fact, it's so rough that, we've moved into books. We're now releasing music as well, as on top of the films. Because to be honest, my sales have dropped 70% since 2005. What I used to be able to sell 50,000 units of, I'm lucky if I sell 10,000 units. What I used to be able to sell 10,000 units of, I'm lucky to sell 2. And that's not out the gate, that's over a period of a year and a half. It's terrible out there right now because due to all the piracy, torrents, all the streaming, Pirate Bay, I could just go on and on and on. And so many of the fans don't realize it because they're like, oh, I'm just going to watch it once, and if it's good, I'll buy it. Well, it's usually never so good that they're going to buy it. So, every year I have people come up, hey, have you seen this movie? And I'm like, no, not yet. How did you see it? It's not out yet. Oh, well, I downloaded it. I'm like, stop that, Yes, it can get, back in the day with the videos, when people used to video bootleg, 2 VHSs, that was fine. You got degraded signal, the filmmakers didn't mind, George Bootgrit, Dario Argento didn't mind it at all because it got the word out. But now with the computers being so fast, you can download a movie in high def in 4 minutes. It's just destroying the whole film industry. I know so many people that have made movies for $500,000, million, $250,000, 100,000, have lost their ass. I've known some people lucky to recoup 10 grand. I've known some people, if you make a hit, you get somebody to pay you a nice big upfront fee. Say you made a film, $250,000, which is actually small, what they consider small budget. Say you spent the money and you did it on film, not high def, on film. 50 grand of that goes to just the film and developing. When you do it that way, you're looked at as more professional. Everybody's on the high def kick, but if you're trying to sell a movie, the companies already know that high def is cheap. Okay, it's cheap. They know you didn't spend, so much money to make it look like that. So they'll actually lowball you. If you shoot on film, they know you have costs, and if it's good enough, then they'll buy it and get a certain amount of money. Who was it? I'm trying to think right now. I've been in this business for 10 years, and it's just gotten weirder and worse. Our biggest film we released was Rock and Roll. It's an animated film. The budget was $10 million. They tried to release it the same weekend as Star Wars. And the thing is, Star Wars was not big when it first came out. It was this little thing, and they didn't even want to put it out because they didn't think they were going to recoup their money, but they still did, and it just got bigger and bigger. And they put out this Rock and Roll movie, which is animated just like heavy metal. And the studio just pulled it. I think it was in there for a week. They pulled it, and the only time you saw it would be on Cinemax late at night or HBO or something. And basically, they just took $10 million and threw it in the garbage. And I knew it wasn't released, so we hit them up, and they were doing well enough because they were releasing Strawberry Shortcake cartoons. So they had their cash cow, so $10 million, you know, they could shelve. That's not, you know, what we could do. But we hit them up, and we bought the rights for worldwide for this movie. Guess what we paid? Just throw a ballpark, anybody. $125,000.
So it's 10 of the price.
Yeah, so what's that out of 10 million? 2%, something ridiculous. And we did well with it. We sold 50,000 units, but our distributor raped us. I didn't see a single dime of that 50,000 units that went out the door into Best Buy and Snap, because they were going out of business, and there was about 200 other companies that were just like us that were with them, and they were a huge operation, and they were going out of business, and instead of going out bankrupt, they did what was called an assignment for the benefit of creditors, which meant basically it's an evil law in California. It'll be in your contracts if you ever sign one for filmmaking. Make sure that they cannot do that. Assignment for the benefit of creditors. If you can remember that, because if it's in there and you sign it and they decide to do that, you lost everything. We were the only company out of 200 companies that had it changed to where we can be assigned, but we have to sign off on it. And we were the only company out of the 200 companies that did that. And so they put that, you know, enacted that clause. They sold everybody's inventory for 200 companies to First Look Studios. Ours too. They took all the money and they didn't have to pay us because of that assignment. And we had to, you know, we were arguing with them the whole time. Hey, you know, you can't do this to us because we had to sign off on it, and we didn't. They go, oh no, nobody, you know, nobody signed off, you know, nobody has to sign off on it, because they were like, no, it's in the contract. And they're like, oh, and what they did was they wasted enough time to where they disappeared, because, you know, the offices were closed and whatnot. So we knew our inventory was sold to First Look Studios, so we had to go after First Look Studios to get our inventory back. Plus, all the sales that they did for us, gone. So we were just lucky enough to get our inventory back. And that took a year and a half worth of fighting with the forensic accountant that went to them and this, you know, I mean, because First Look Studios is a huge company. And here we are, a little independent horror movie company. Hey, give us our crap back, you sons of bitches. So we got screwed there. This is actually, I'm in the middle of a lawsuit right now. It's my third distributor that I'm going after, because some people in the movie industry are evil. They will rape you. They will take advantage of you. They won't care. They won't care who you owe, who helped you make the film, who helped produce it. They won't care. They will actually do everything they can to hide money from you in the reports, overcharge you for shipping, overcharge you for manufacturing, overcharge you for advertising, or overcharge you for all across the board, and it all adds up. The second company we sued was another distributor, which plenty of other filmmakers went to them singly, just like what, you know, you guys want to do, I think. And, you know, not only did they rape them, not pay them anything, you know, but, you know, they got us too, but, you know, being as we were a whole company, we could take them to court, and we sued them. Got our money back, but it took another year before we got the full payment. Are you guys making films? Are you interested? Do you have films trying to get them distributed? Yeah. It's rough. You know, it's very rough. I keep, like I said, I'm in my third lawsuit. It's a company called just started IFTA arbitration with them through the AFM. It should be going on right now. It should have just started. And what that does is most decent companies that are out of California go through AFM and IFTA because it's a giant, huge Hollywood conglomeration. And it has protections. Instead of, say if I ripped you off for $1 million and you're like, hey, where the hell is my money? And I'm like, oh, okay, sue me. Instead of having to go through the real court system with lawyers and stuff like that, which takes years and years and years, through IFTA, all you have to do is, have a lawyer, but you pay them to hire an ex-judge or somebody that's been working in the Hollywood system for years and years and years, and they work as a mediator. So instead of having to deal with the courts and whatnot, you're going through IFTA arbitration through the Hollywood system, and it's a hell of a lot faster. And once the paperwork goes through, it actually gets banned from all the film markets, Cannes, AFM, I forget the other one. There's a bunch of them, but they get banned from it, and they get an email blast and notices to all the companies in the whole Hollywood system that these people are getting sued. Be careful or don't deal with them. So that's sort of nice, because they'll want to settle fast, usually. Where should we go with this now? Okay, so yeah.
If we go back a little bit on the first of cost of the film festivals.
Yeah.
I don't do any horror films, again, short films that are vehicle based or just simple things. I often can cash the film festival early enough to pay like $10, $15. So if you catch a film festival early, you can end up paying $10, $15 depending on which one.
So are you asking which film festivals to go to, or?
No, I'm saying that, they mentioned they're paying $45. Like, yeah, some of them are like cost of money, but a lot of them do tend to, even though the price is $45 at a certain time of day, if you catch it early.
Right.
Yeah.
If you can catch, if you get,
it's not breath of the like you said.
Right.
But one of the films I submitted a few months ago, I actually got an email back from a producer asking if I had made an actual screenplay on horror. It's like, no, but even at the end of the day, I'll get you one.
Right.
So my original medial-based film, I rewrote it into like a horror and sent it to them.
Through it.
Yeah, so something does come out of it. It might take a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really weird industry in there.
It is.
I mean, like I said before, I've written a couple screenplays, sold them, bankruptcies, came back to me, resold them, bankruptcy, came back to me. It's nice, I made $2,000 each time I did a sale,
Right.
And I would get a lot more if it was made, but the companies just keep going belly up. If you're really trying to make a film, what you want to do is find yourself one of those rich guys who needs a tax write-off. Because making films is really not how you make money. I'm being honest. It's very rare to make your budget back nowadays. Before it used to be 80s, 90s. Oh yeah, I mean, Charles Band, Full Moon Entertainment, they wouldn't even bother writing scripts yet. They would just have one of their graphic designer make a crazy movie poster. They'd slap a bunch of these movie posters on the wall, and they could pre-sell the international rights just on the movie posters alone, without a screenplay, without a storyline, and the companies would actually prepay $200,000 per territory. This was back in the day. Now you can't do that. Now, it started happening in 2005. I went to an AFM, and there was this beautiful, gorgeous Rupert Everett Russian war movie. $20 million budget, glorious war battles, shot on 35 millimeter. And it was that right then, that's when people started losing their ass with the big movies. And nobody wanted to pay them any money up front. And everybody was just flabbergasted. They're like, well, are you gonna do it? No. Are you gonna do it? No, I'm gonna. Well, who's gonna do it? Somebody's, And it started with the movie that killed the upfront fees was, lo and behold, the Bush documentary. I forget which one it was called, but it was this huge Bush documentary that they pre-bought for $20 million. And they thought it was going to be this huge, big release and stuff. And they prepaid $20 million before it even hit, just to lock it up. And when they released it, it did $190,000. And that was in theaters. So the company that picked that up, and then as soon as that happened, it just seemed to be happening everywhere. And unless you were Sony or Warner Brothers or one of the big boys, who can you have enough money, you can make anybody watch crap. With enough advertising, marketing, and push and stuff, people will watch some crap. It's getting weirder now too, because even the crap that they used to be able to get us to see is flopping really bad too now. So I don't know. Does anybody have any quick questions? All right.
Do you think the advent of Redbox and Netflix and Hulu and all of that has something to do with the fact that you can't sell crap on the big screen anymore? Because if all that's on the big screen that weekend is crap, you can just go home and plug in your Xbox and watch something that's actually good from 20,
right.
30 years ago?
Yeah, the market's changed so drastically. We're looking at picking up the new Ray Kitamura movie. It's called No One Gets Out Alive. Looks phenomenal. The guy did Midnight Meat Train. And my business partner's like, okay. He's like, because we're with our 6th distributor now. Okay, I've been through 6 distributors, and that's why you'll see us pop up, release a bunch of stuff, and then disappear, because that distributor's probably raping us. So then we go to another distributor, a little bit more rape, but it takes a while before we notice it. Then we disappear. Another distributor, some kissing, some making out, nothing bad in this and that, but they're not, doing well enough to, continue. So we go to another one. I just lost my train of thought, but the Redbox, okay, what I was talking about was the Ray Kitamura movie. He said, talk to our distributor, we gotta sell 50,000 units out the door to make it worth our while. You figure, hey, Midnight Meat Train director versus Godzilla Final Wars, guy's got a huge fan base, great, phenomenal, ultra gore horror movie, budget was $3.9 million, and we're like, okay, we gotta sell 50,000 units, make it worth our while. Talk to the distributor, hey, what can how fast can we sell 50,000 units? He's like, well, the industry's changed so drastically, and the only way you can get 30,000 units is if it goes into Walmart and Target and Redbox. And that's just to get 30,000 units. And I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? I mean, when we released Rock and Roll, we didn't get into Walmart, Target, Kmart, any of those places, and we had 50,000 units out the door. And he's like, well, it's because all the retailers are down. Blockbuster's down to 800 stores now. It used to be 10,000 stores in 2004. And there's no more Hollywood videos, no more movie galleries. Suncoast Motion Picture Company is out of business. FYE is closing stores slowly. Circuit City is gone. Best Buy no longer buys independent movies anymore. 7 years ago, you can go into Best Buy and you see everybody. I had all our movies were in there. Troma was all in there. Media Blaster, everybody, all the horror movies were all there. And then Best Buy did a backhanded deal with Warner Brothers and Sony and Disney to where, because they would go into their retail stores, and and all the big motion picture companies were in the action and all, the comedy, the drama. But when they saw the horror section, it was all of us. Vomit Gore Trilogy, Guinea Pig movie, it was just everything. And the studios were like, that's shelf space we want. So they told them, hey, we'll give you an extra 10% off on our stuff if you take all that stuff out. And they did. It's just really, really depressing right now, just because of all the bootlegging, all the torrenting, the red boxes. And you go to a red box, what do they got? I'm surprised at the stuff they have in there.
Yeah.
I've even seen like Darkman. You know, 1988, Darkman is in there. It's like, what the hell do they have Darkman in there when it's, you know, 20 plus years old? Disney's in there, and so, you know, the big things, and every once in a while you'll see one Charles Band movie in there. That's the only horror, independent horror you'll see. And the deal I heard that he gets in there, $2 a disc. Gives it to him for $2 a disc. So, now if you do make a movie and you're trying to get distribution, you're hitting the film festivals, what else do you gotta do? Submit it for international sales. Okay, international sales is very important. I handle sales for a bunch of films. It used to be a lot easier, but international has gotten a lot harder recently too. What I used to be able to just throw, I could throw any movie at Japan and they would buy it. A lot of movies to Germany, Australia. UK has really bad censorship laws. So does Germany, but the companies that, you know, want to pick up the horror movies, they actually are based in Austria and they export into Germany to get around censorship laws. But there was a time when you could easily get international sales, and it's like 10 grand for Japan, 5 grand for Germany, 10 for France, 5 for Australia, you know, and it would add up. It'd be nice, very nice. Just added extra money on top of whatever you can do for the US. But they're getting really picky. You know, I sent 3 companies in Japan about 15 movies, and there was some good stuff in there. The sequel to Slime City Massacre, Western, some animation, a little bit of everything. And I figured I'd do at least 4, they'd pick up 4 or 5 movies, at least out of 15. They picked up 1. And it was a $2,000 zombie movie. And that's they passed the $250,000 movie, they passed the $50,000, they bought the $2,000 movie for 5 grand. So he made money. He was happy. Some guys are now trying the self-distribution thing. I tell a lot of people, because I know so many people in the underground and the independent racket, and they set up their own websites and they try and sell the DVDs themselves. And basically, what it is the people who worked, you know, holding the camera, holding the gaff, feeding them sandwiches while making the film. The people who worked on the film will buy copies or get free copies, and then their family will all buy a copy. And then if their friends might buy some copies, and if the movie's got some kind of buzz, you can sell some copies, but it usually peters out around 300, 400. Which is nice if you're getting 20 bucks per, you know, but it's not nice if you have a budget of 100 grand. I know a couple of good friends, you know, they've made films for $50,000, did distribution, and the movies, so it doesn't sell, it doesn't pick up. If you're gonna make a movie, it's gotta be good. It's gotta be good. Listen to people, shop the script around, get honest opinions, and, you know, from people you trust and know can actually, you know, give you some nice tips. Oh, dude, tighten up your dialogue, or do this, or do that. Because everybody knows, even though what it says on the script, it changes while you're shooting. Because when I was doing Gator Green with Jim, we just shot that all this week. Short film. Oh man, it just changed drastically because, you know, effects went wrong. People, you know, ad-libbed, and, you know, so shots couldn't be done, light was changing. So it's like, okay, we gotta change this, and now we're gonna do this. Now, you know, it was just like a whole dynamic that, you know, I haven't seen before, but it happened. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Netflix. You brought up Netflix also, and do you distribute through Netflix, and can you actually sell a lot of copies of some movies through Netflix, or what is
Netflix.
Should we get there?
You see, we've been in Netflix, and at first I was like, no, I don't want to be in Netflix, because at the time, that's when the only way you could see one of my movies was if you bought it. And I'm like, oh no, it's a Netflix. You can now rent it. And their numbers were actually not that big. About 5-6 years ago, they would take 200 copies of Black Sun, The Nanking Massacre, Frankenhooker. When they released that, they took 600 copies. But they also are not buying the case, the wrap, the shrink wrap, the sticker that goes, the security sticker, and they get their DVDs for about $6, $6.75. Not the normal. Wholesale is $10, so they're kicking off $3.50. And it's like 600 copies were nice, but Netflix is in trouble. As everybody is. Netflix has actually stopped buying up independent movies now. They semi-cornered the market, and now they're like, okay, well, we don't have to carry that stuff anymore. We got all those people, and we sold VOD to Netflix. And we sold them Philosophy of a Knife, Aftermath, Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, Sex Galaxy, Flexing with Monty, and something for VOD for 2 years. And we had to go through a company called Gravitas to do it.
That was the distributor.
Yeah, that's a VOD distributor, middle guy. Okay, so it's like us having all these films, instead of being able to go straight to them, have to go through Gravitas, and Gravitas takes their cut, then Netflix takes, whatever. And they offered us $24,000 for 6 films for 2 years for VOD. They're not bad, but the terrible thing is they wanted us to go through .360 for quality control and for conversion of the film into the format they need for their streaming service. You know how much that would have cost? $13,500. So that's half the money, cut in half. And we're like, no, we can do this, and our authoring company is like, no, we can do this and this and that. And they're like, oh, well, okay, well, if you're gonna do it, we have to have it in these parameters, and then it still has to go through .360 for the QC check, quality control, and it's still gonna cost $350 per film. We're like, okay, that's better than them doing it and charging us the, so 6 times 350, so it's like 2,000 something. So we did it that way, but it still cost us $400 to get the format made correctly so it's $750 per film to get it onto the Netflix. So that's $4,200 instead of $13,000. So we made some money, but we were going through who was ripping us off at the time. So they took it's evil. It is evil. If I knew how evil the people are out there, I would never have gotten into the movie industry. It's just frightening.
I'd love to get something distributed through iTunes. Through iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't take anything unless you have 100 titles. So you got to go through an aggregator.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to a couple aggregators, and it sounds like Gravitas is something like an aggregator, and they take your film and they compress. They do whatever steps they got to do. You give them some artwork. They redo the poster however they see fit, and then they get their cut.
Right.
Somebody rents it from iTunes, they get their cut, and then you get your cut. That's similar with the VOD, on demand.
Yeah, and it's iTunes get theirs, then Gravitas, then you. And sometimes you can't even go to Gravitas yourself, so you got to go through another aggregator. An aggregator to get to the aggregator. That's terrible. Because we're having to do the same thing. We've had Gravitas turn down a couple of our movies recently, which I was surprised. Brand new westerns. A little naughty, but nothing. And I mean, they took Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, and they turned down the Scarlet Worm. Oh, well, there's nudity in it. I'm like, what? Did you see what you put on? I mean, we even sold Slaughtered Vomit Dolls to Netflix. And that was on there for streaming.
I guess the next question I have would be, what are the ingredients for success? I mean, nudity, or small cast.
I used to tell people, shoot it for as cheap as possible. You know, try and do it for $5 grand. Make sure you have, if you can have buckets and buckets and buckets of blood and gore and boobs, then you should be fine, okay? Because if you got enough gore, enough nudity, then yeah, you know, people will forgive a boom mic coming down. They'll forgive, you know, bad dialogue. They'll forgive you. They'll even forgive you if the story's cheesy, because it's got enough gratuity, gratuitous sex and violence that, you know, hey, it's still fun. But on the other hand, I've released some movies that are just nonstop gratuitous violence, like Das Kama Brutal Duel. And there's, you know, there's over like 60 people getting killed and slaughtered and splattered everywhere, and it's just like a fun, goofy romp, you know, that they shot back in like early 90s on a VHS camera in Germany. So, you know, but people know about it and people hear about it, so it's got a little bit of infamy, but I only sold 1,500 copies. So, I mean, if they made it for $5 grand, they did well, because I bought it for $7 grand, and another company that released it, they bought it for $7, so they doubled their money. What kind of budget are you looking at?
My budget's getting bigger and bigger. This project, what I'm working on is a little different. It's not a narrative. It's a Halloween party DVD. Put this DVD in your flat screen, you have a Halloween party, it plays like stock scary books, like vampire, clowns, zombies, bugs.
I've seen somebody already did that. 2-3 years ago, I think. Was that you?
No, I've seen some stuff. I went out and bought it. It's awful. The stuff I've got.
It's the one where the zombies are just leaning up against
No.
the.
No.
I saw that.
That's been the issue I run into. I got all the Party City, and they're like, we had it a couple years ago. It sucked, didn't sell. So, talking with Spencer's, and it's PG-13,
Right.
bloody, not bleeding.
Right.
And
Right.
keep pumping money into it because we're trying to give it more cast members, more locations, get your money worth out of it.
But no story.
There has to be a story now. That was the issue with iTunes because it's not a narrative. The aggregator said,
Yeah, no,
it's
yeah.
So we're gonna have a story as this projectionist takes all these movies, scary parts of the movies, cuts it together, and it's kind of like he starts it, movie breaks, he talks for a minute, movie plays some more of the movie. That's kind of the idea, kind of like a.
That's gonna be a rough one.
You think so? No, that's it.
Could you kind of explain the success of toe tag, like Lucifer Valentine? Can you just kind of explain that?
Well, toe tag, they have a fan base, but the fan base is, you know, cut off now. They're going down. He's trying to go more mainstream now.
Yeah.
You know, because you know, everybody's just downloading stuff for free. Lucifer Valentine, I wouldn't really say it's a success. You know, because I mean, I sold. I mean, his titles are. He's got a rabid fan base, so is Toe Tag, but it's not as big as it looks. Because you know, like on Facebook, he's got what 700 fans, but he has 30 of them that really just sit there and talk. It's all the same 30. And he likes to think it's, you know, oh, I'm so famous, and you know, this. I'm like, dude, I'm seeing the numbers on the DVDs, and he's like, well, what the hell? I'm like, dude, it's, you know, but you know, he wants to do Vomit Gore Part 4. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know, none of these things have taken off, this and that. I mean, the Vomit Gore box set, I think we've only sold 400 of these. You know, I mean, when I sold the guinea pig box set, I sold 10,000 of those. So, you know, I mean, it's hard to say. Fred has got a nice fan base, but he does a lot of conventions, and you know, he pets the fans.
Well, do you think that kind of helps in the smaller independent filmmakers if they actually go and meet the fans instead of just sitting back
yeah, but the thing's got to be good though.
True.
Okay, I mean, in the dealer room right now, I've walked around. There's some people there, you know, pushing their movie, and I walk up and I look and I'm like, what is it? You know, oh, it's this. You know, it's gonna change the face of horror and this and that. You know, and I get so many people. I'm gonna change the face of horror. I'm gonna change the face of horror. It's like you can't change the face of horror. You can't even. You know, you're gonna be lucky if you're just an eyelash. That's the whole. You know, it's disturbing. If you're getting in it to make money, don't do it, because 9 times out of 10 you're not, because the whole system is rigged for the distributors and the retailers. Unless you make, I mean, you would have to make the movie of a lifetime, something that will stand the test of time. Because I'm writing. That's why I turned to writing now. Okay, because the screenplays, to get a screenplay made with a real budget, $1 million budget, because that's what I was writing the screenplays for, is a miracle. Because usually it's a lot of nepotism, a lot of people who you know. If you got to know the right people, you know, to make, you know, big movies. Something that somebody's going to say, hey, yeah, I got $1 million. Let's put it on this roulette wheel. And I'm being honest. The last class I had was full. It wasn't, you know, but it was called something different. It was called contract negotiations and international sales, and nobody's ever seen that before. So this one was a get your movie distributed. So of course I only got the, you know, the guys who are putting their nuts in vice and saying, here, twist this, because your project sounds like it's going to be a rough one.
I've got other avenues to make money back on.
Okay.
I shoot and sell stock footage. So everything in the, I can sell a clip for $50 and make 25.
Right.
Just on
Right.
15 seconds.
Right. Okay. Well, that's. I mean, I get people asking for clips and stuff all the time for some of these movies, and I'm like, dude. I mean, I'm just the DVD label that bought it. I have to contact the director, and then they have to contact the producer or something. So
There's sites I sell. That's how it works. You are looking for
Right.
sunsets. We have sunset. You get a wall.
right,
They can
$25.
all see the thumbnails, play the clips. I want this one.
Right.
Yeah. So I can make my money back. That, of course, it would be better to sell a lot of DVDs to
Oh yeah.
Spencer's and Spirit and Party City.
Right. But they do returns. Returns. Okay. I'm sitting on, we released Evil Dead Trap 2 back in 2004, and I was thrilled because 10,000 of them went out the door. You're like, yeah, 10,000 units, dun, 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 dun. You're like congratulating yourself. 9,200 came back.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so not only,
You had to pay for shipping on that.
yep, ta-da, now you're in the hole.
What about strictly digital downloads?
Oh, that's nice. There's no shipping, there's no cases, no shrink wrap, no this and that. Digital download would be the way to go if anybody's really paying for it. That's the question. The movie's got to be good. It's got to be badass for somebody to say, "Oh, I got $4. Let's watch this immediately."
What do you personally, because you know you've released the Guinea Pig series, and just all these wonderful films. What do you personally see whenever you see an upcoming director or film that makes you like, shit, I have to buy it?
It's style.
Okay.
The violence is believable. The atmosphere, the mood, the acting. I mean, it's all. It's just like, you know, when you're like, man, I enjoyed that movie. I gotta say that too, and say, okay, I'm gonna put my balls in this roulette wheel, I'm gonna spin it, and say, okay, I'm gonna take a chance. You know, and I've failed a bunch of times. I picked up Footsteps. I picked that up years ago. I sold, you know, like 3,000 copies, 2,000 copies, something like that. But I manufactured 4,000. I think I sold 2,000. So I broke even. The guy's next film was that little film you might have heard of called The Raid, Redemption. Okay, and suddenly, boom. I mean, I didn't make him any money whatsoever, but it was up front. It's like, yeah, and then suddenly, boom, Raid Redemption hit Sundance. Suddenly, I sold Footsteps to the UK for him for 12 grand. And and suddenly, he's like, oh yeah, that's over my budget, and this, and this. I'm like, so I saw you had talent, but he lost his ass on his first movie, and then the second one made his first one making money. So he was happy because he's like, oh, I can finally pay my producers because it's been like 6 years because they didn't have it. I know plenty of producers sitting there going, hey, my wallet.
It's empty.
It's empty. Give me my money back, just because it's hard to break even.
Now, are there certain films that when you see, like, you see Footsteps, I guess my question is, would you put more effort into trying to find that, like, international, or just gonna keep it domestic, or?
I would just do domestic. I tried handling it for international, and we showcase at the AFM, American Film Market. We take films to the American film market to sell internationally all the time because, we're talking to all these companies worldwide over the phone and through email, but the Hollywood people like face-to-face meetings. They live on it because even though they're not doing anything and they don't sign anything, if they're having a meeting, they feel like they're doing something. So it's sort of like a big lunch date when you do the film markets because everybody's having lunch and this and that. Damn. So it's just so rough. If you want to get into this business, expect to pull your hair out and be pissed off unless you make something top freaking quality that people will talk about. Because even now people are still talking about a Serbian film. And they lost their ass on it. Okay, a Serbian film, $1.2 million budget. Showed at all the film festivals worldwide, so you figure how much money that costs to do the film festivals? A lot of money shipping those giant prints. I mean, I try to ship, they're doing it now on hard drives. So that's saving us a lot of money because making prints are expensive. But the Serbian film was released only in Sweden, uncut, and the US, slightly cut by like 45 seconds or something. But $1.2 million movie, budget, this and that, this and that. You know how much they bought it for in the US? $40,000. And everybody's still talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. People come up to my table, oh, have you seen the Serbian film? It's like, yeah, we saw it, I even got a screener of it back in the day. But that's, look, $40,000 million, I think it's just because all the torrents, streaming stuff. I mean.
Do you think, based on what you're saying, do you think DVDs and Blu-ray or any sort of practical medium is dead now? Because when you go to retailers now, those sections have completely shrunk.
Yeah.
I think it's all the future is digital now.
Here's the problem we're at, because right now the technology is there to where we don't have to have libraries, but people like physical product, right? They do. It's a collection. They like to see it. They like to say, I own that. And I know I've had a computer crash, right? If you have all your stuff on your computer, all the films and stuff digitally, and you crash, you just lost your whole library.
Even with the cloud now and everything, you can get it back.
Well, that's just that's what's funny is everybody's calling it the cloud, but it's just the internet. Right.
iTunes, for example, if I lose something, I can post it on iTunes and like re-download it and stuff like that.
Right. Well, how long will they, allow you to do that?
Right now, it's a perpetuity. I don't know if that's going to change.
Right. Because, but now with movies, are you gonna be able to do that for 5 years, 10 years? Can you still download it after you bought it? Supposedly.
But I'm sure that somebody will realize that money on 10 years.
Hey, wait, yeah. Hey, wait. 300 million people in the U.S. all have one movie on our servers.
Yeah, because ultimately it's licensed. So So at some point they can say license is only for 2 years or 3 years.
So yeah, so you buy it and so you're just really renting a copy for 3 years. That's good.
The digital templates, one thing, but they don't come with a lot of the special features. They don't come with the
They're
direct
starting to.
commentary.
Right.
Oh, they're starting. I mean, like iTunes is great for TV series because you get, if you buy a series package, like Walking Dead, you get some behind the scenes.
Okay. I was just thinking about a typical rental.
Yeah.
You don't get any of that. But you don't get any of the Netflix anymore either now. All the Netflix copies are rental copies.
Right, yeah.
Specifically rental copies.
Yeah.
7 minutes.
7 minutes? All right, we got 7 minutes. Because we release both Blu-rays and DVDs as well. I'll tell you we released Where the Dead Go to Die, really cool animated film. I mean, people are saying this is sicker than a Serbian film. But it's animated, so it's, it's nicer. But we released this on DVD and Blu-ray. Blu-ray, I sold 125. DVD, I'm over 1,000. So everything on Blu-ray costs more, security, the authoring, this and that. But the sales are like 2/10 of what DVDs are. So yeah, because that's rough too.
It's too expensive to do Blu-ray because it is costly. You don't want returns on those.
On what?
Blu-rays.
Oh, I haven't had return. Well, no, not yet. But also, the whole industry's changed so drastically, is that there's not enough stores out there that are going to take 10,000 units from you. Because now everybody, I mean, I have distributors. We deal with all of them, and they're ordering the bare minimum now. Because before they used to say, yeah, send us 1,000, send us 2,000, and we'll send you returns in 9 months or a year. Now they're like, send us 20 copies. Send us 10 copies, send us 30 copies. And then when they sell out, then say, hey, send us another 20 copies, send us another 30 copies. So it takes longer to sell what it is now because they don't want to bother doing returns, tracking inventory, and this and that. So it's going to be it's going to be really rough for all the independent filmmakers for the next 5 to 7 years because it's people don't know what to do. They don't know whether or not to buy Blu-ray or DVD or just stream it or just watch it. I think over a period of time that all the movies will be all up there. Just like a online video store, which it is already. But they're all battling. The companies are all battling themselves. So there's going to end up being one that's going to be where everything is. I mean everything. And I don't know what's going to happen to the collectors. I don't know what's going to happen to the filmmakers. I know so many people are losing their ass. And I want you to succeed. You got to do the film festival circuits. You got to push it hard. Once you're finished with the film, don't think you got to rush to get it out. You got to build a buzz. Do everything you can. Do research before you sign a contract with the company. Because even I have a producer or two that are like, oh, Unearthed Films ripped me off. It's like, no, we only sold this amount of DVDs, and you get money when we, recoup this, and just do research, do the film festival circuit, check out the different avenues, VOD, Gravitas, get cable, try to work it. Just be careful, because once you sign a contract, you're in bed with that person for 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is that you're dealing. And I don't know, any quick last questions? Nope. All right. Thank you guys. Hope you have a good time.